Hey guys, tonight we're wandering into the soft green hush of Tang-era, China. A few centuries back when the world was slower, wetter, and every drop of rain felt like a message from heaven. The air smells faintly of moss and wet pine. You can hear the first splashes of a storm beginning somewhere over the bamboo hills. You probably won't survive this one, at least not if you're made of parchment or silk, but don't worry. The monks here say each storm is just a kind of washing dot, so before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. Dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're standing on the slope tile roof of a monastery somewhere near modern-day Xi'an in the middle of the Tang dynasty. The rain has just begun thin silver threads dancing off the eaves. Below you, the temple courtyards are slick and shimmering, and the monks move like shadows under straw hats. They're carrying jade basins carved with clouds, setting them out in precise positions to catch the first raindrops of the season. It's a ceremony of sorts, though no drum sound and no crowds gather. Just the sound of rainfall against stone, the occasional wooden clack of sandals. The first raindrops are sacred here. The monks believe these are the purest, untouched by dust or roof runoff, so they wait with the patience of moss. A young monk motions for you to help. You kneel beside him, lifting a basin that feels cool against your palms. Its surface is etched with lotus petals, half eroded by time. You place it beneath the open sky. The first drop lands, a perfect ripple in jade green water. The monk smiles like it's a tiny miracle dot inside the temple walls. Everything smells of cedar and faint smoke from pine torches. The abbot insists that the tea brewed tonight will not be ordinary tea. It will be rainwater tea collected only from the first storm of late spring. According to monastery record, this tradition began after a terrible drought 2 centuries ago, when an old hermit claimed that heaven's first tears carried the memory of clouds long past up. No one here remembers that hermit's name, but they still repeat his words before every rain. You follow the monks into the stone kitchen. The room hums with quiet activity. Bronze kettles line the walls, each waiting to be filled. No one speaks much. One novice softly hums a prayer that sounds suspiciously like a folk tune. You can't help but notice the rhythm it matches the dripping of rain outside. The water is filtered through silk cloth, poured into large clay jars sealed with wax. A senior monk dips a ladle and tastes a drop, then nods. Heaven has cleaned its brush, he murmurs. You try the same. It's cold and mineral bright, like licking a mountain pebble. They tell you that in the Tang-era, rainwater was prized for its lightness. According to the poet Luoyang, who wrote the classic of tea, the best water came from slow rain caught on clean leaves. The monks here go one step further. They believe each drop holds a fragment of moonlight. And to drink it is to sip a reflection of the cosmos. Of course, historians still debate whether any of this makes sense chemically. Some claim that Tang monks exaggerated the taste difference. Others argue it was spiritual brandy, a way to sanctify the ordinary. You could test the pH level if you had modern gear, but somehow that feels rude. Instead, you listen. Rain thickens into a steady murmur, pooling in gutters and trickling down into jars. A temple bell rings 3 times, slow and resonant, marking the hour of dragon's breath, roughly 8 p.m. in old Tang reckoning. The monks gather around the main hall. Candles flicker on wet lacquer floors. You notice something small by the doorway. A jade basin, the same one you helped to place outside, now resting beside a bronze teapot. A faint chip runs along its rim. That's your basin. The abbot catches you looking and nods. Every basin is imperfect, he says. That is how it listens better. He pours a little of the rainwater into the pot. The steam curls upward, delicate as a silk ribbon. Outside, the storm grows heavier. The entire roof hums with rainfall, and thunder rolls softly behind distant hills. It's oddly cozy, the kind of sound that seems to polish the edges off the world. As the tea brews, You told that monks once believed thunderclouds were formed by dragons playing in heaven's rivers. The first drop of rain was said to fall from the tip of a dragon's whisker. A few skeptics chuckle quietly, but the abbot simply smiles. Perhaps science will call it vapor, he says. We call it memory. The first cup is served to the shrine of Guanyan, the bodhisattva of mercy. The second is offered to the rain itself, poured gently out the window. The third cup is passed to you. It tastes like everything gentle. Damp bamboo, unbaked clay, a trace of smoke from the hearth. It's not sweet, not bitter, just perfectly quiet. You swallow slowly, and for a moment, it feels like the air itself pauses to listen. Someone behind you whispers about how the emperor once sent scouts to this monastery to collect samples of its rainwater, believing it could enhance the flavor. Of tribute tea sent to Chang'an's court, another monk jokes that the imperial inspectors only wanted an excuse to nap under temple eaves. Everyone laughs softly, like ripples in a pond. A sudden flash of lightning illuminates the courtyard, reflecting off wet tiles. You glimpse your jade basin again, still half full, the water trembling with every thunderclap. For a moment, the rain looks alive, wrinkled with light. The abbot instructs the novices to store the remaining rainwater for future brews. Tea. Tastes of time, he says. And time, like rain, must be caught carefully. He gestures toward a wooden door that leads deeper into the temple. Tomorrow, you'll learn why tea is not just tea here, he says. But for tonight, listen to the roof. The lesson begins with the sound of falling water. You sit on the stone steps as the monks drift away. The rain continues, steady and unhurried, like an old friend telling a long story. In your lap, you cradle the jade basin. The last droplet falls from the roof's edge and joins the pool with a soft plink. Somewhere in the dark, a bell chimes once more, and a voice calls the evening prayer. Your eyelids grow heavy. The air hums with rain, and you realize the night itself feels steep, like the world has become one vast, patient cup of tea. The jade basin gleams faintly beside you, catching not just rain now, but moonlight. You close your eyes, tracing the warmth of the tea still lingering in your hands. Tomorrow, you'll step inside the hall and learn what secrets the steam carries. But for now, you just listen and breathe and drift. The rain has slowed to a hush by morning, leaving the monastery draped in soft mist. You wake to the muted rustle of robes and the faint smell of incense, sweet, resinous, and faintly smoky, like sandalwood warmed by breath. Someone outside sweeps the courtyard, each stroke slow and deliberate. When you step into the tea hall, the world feels different, smaller somehow, like the air has been folded in on itself. Steam curls upward from kettles along the far wall, blurring the outlines of monks who move like silhouettes behind a veil. You find your seat at a long wooden table. An elder monk, his head shiny and dappled with age spots, motions for you two. Come closer. His eyes are almost hidden by smile lines. Listen to the tea, he says. It tells you when to speak. A small cracked incense holder sits near him, the one you noticed last night. Its lid has a tiny chip in the shape of a crescent moon. He lights it anyway, and a wisp of smoke drifts into the rafters, tangling with the thin ribbons of steam. You can't tell where scent ends and breath begins. The monks move through a quiet ritual that feels halfway between cooking and prayer. The teapots are iron, blackened by years of fire. Each monk measures tea leaves with wooden scoops carved from bamboo. They drop them into bowls, then pour the first rainwater, still cool. From its jar, the tea blooms in slow spirals of green and gold. You notice how no one stirs it. They simply wait. Every sound has a flavor, the elder says softly. Too much movement ruins it. Even silence has a taste. The first sip arrives. The tea is light, almost floral, and the steam curls like a living thing. You close your eyes and the scent seems to pull you backward to the sound of rain. To the weight of the jade basin in your hands, he chuckles when he sees your expression. Most travelers expect enlightenment, he says. We only offer hydration. You laugh under your breath. He takes a sip too, then tells you about the temple's neighbors across the valley, another monastery that insists their rainwater is pure because it falls from dragon's breath clouds drifting east of Mount Hua. For years, the two monasteries have quietly competed in their tea ceremonies, sending envoys to taste, compare, and report. Once, he says, they accused us of collecting roof runoff. You pretend to gasp. Scandalous. Indeed. His eyes twinkle. We retaliated by sending them tea brewed from morning dew collected off lotus leaves. They called it blasphemous. The emperor called it charming, and so everyone won. You can almost hear the ancient gossip in his voice, the kind monks rarely admit to enjoying. Beneath the calm, they're human too. The incense smoke twists and reshapes as you listen. It forms small clouds, delicate and formless. The room hums with warmth, yet no one sweats. They simply breathe in rhythm with this theme. You begin to sense how everything here, breath, fire, water, even quiet, is part of the same slow pulse. The elder leans closer. Do you know what rain remembers? He asks. You shake your head. Dust, salt, bird wings. Every droplet holds a journey. When we brew tea, we give that journey an ending. He smiles, then looks toward the window, where the last few raindrops slide down bamboo leaves. But the ending is never the same twice. You glance at the cracked incense holder again, the crescent chip now filled with ash. You ask if he's ever repaired it. He waves the idea away. The crack teaches patience, he says. Every ceremony needs a reminder that nothing lasts. The tea cools, the incense fades. Even the rain forgets how it fell. A pause. Then he has outside a novice monk shouts from the courtyard, something about thunder spirits caught in the eaves. The elder sighs, half amused. Children of the Tang, he says. They still believe lightning makes the tea stronger. You raise an eyebrow? Does it? He shrugs. Historians still debate. You laugh again, but the question lingers in the air, echoing softly among the smoke and steam. You're invited to join the next ritual, pouring a final round of tea for reflection. This time, you pour with both hands, careful and slow. The warmth seeps into your palms, through your sleeves. The liquid smells faintly grassy. Faintly like the morning fog dot, the elder instructs you to drink while looking into the surface of your cup. See what returns your gaze, he murmurs. You do. At first, it's just your own face, distorted by ripples. Then, the faint image of clouds drifting past the skylight above. For a moment, you imagine you can see the sky's reflection moving. Inside your tea. Now, he says, you understand the first rule. Tea reveals the sky within you. It's a poetic exaggeration, maybe, but in this hushed hall filled with smoke and steam, it feels almost plausible. When the ceremony ends, the monks quietly leave for morning chores. You linger, still holding your cup. The elder stands, collects the incense holder, and places it in your hands. Carry it to the library, he says. Return it when the scent fades. It will guide you. You nod, confused, but content. The holder feels warm, slightly sticky with old resin. You can smell pine and sandalwood on your skin now, mingled with the memory of rain dot as you step outside. The courtyard glows with mist. The stone paths glisten. A few stray raindrops fall from the roof's edge and land on your sleeve. You pause. Each drop darkens the fabric like a small, perfect moon. Somewhere beyond the outer walls, a distant bell tolls, soft, slow, like a heartbeat through fog. The elder's words echo in your mind. Every droplet holds a journey. You touch the crack on the incense holder again, and the faint trace of warmth remains proof that even smoke has memory. Tomorrow you'll enter the library. You've been told the scrolls there whisper when it rains. Whether that's true or just monkish mischief, you'll find out soon enough. But for now, you listen to the sound of drying leaves and the sigh of cooling tea, and let the quiet carry you one breath at a time. By afternoon, the mist has thinned into gauze. The temple courtyard gleams with last night's rain, and a dozen sparrows bounce between puddles as if performing a small play for the monks. You cross the worn flagstones toward the library, the old stone building tucked behind a stand of cypress trees that seem to hum when the wind passes through them. The elder's cracked incense holder is still warm in your hand, though the smoke has long faded. It leaves a faint, sticky scent of pine on your fingers. The air feels cooler here, and as you step beneath the arched doorway, the sound of the outside world softens into quiet echoes. Inside, the library smells like dust, ink, and candle wax. Scrolls line the walls, each tied with faded silk ribbons. A young monk nods politely as you enter, then returns to brushing calligraphy onto a narrow strip of bamboo. His strokes are steady but unhurried. You find a seat by a low table near the window, where sunlight filters through lattice wood, tracing delicate patterns on the floor. Someone has left a bowl of water there, perhaps to catch drips from the roof, but it's perfectly still. Reflecting the ceiling like a mirror, you remember what the elder said earlier. Tea reveals the sky within you. Maybe rainwater does. A shadow moves beside you. Another monk, older, slightly stooped, appears carrying a bundle of scrolls. His robes are frayed at the edges, his hands ink-stained. He speaks softly as though the words themselves might disturb the parchment. These, he says, setting the bundle down, are poems about rain. He unties one and unrolls it across the table. Faded brushstrokes depict a single scene, a monk kneeling beside a basin as rain falls, head bowed. The caption reads in characters as fragile as spider silk. Heaven's ink refills the bowl. The librarian smiles faintly. Poets saw rain as a messenger between earth and sky, he explains. Taoists said it balanced yin and yang. Buddhists said it cleansed illusions. And farmers, well, they said it ruined laundry. You chuckle quietly. The monk's eyes crinkle with amusement. He invites you deeper into the stacks, where the shelves curve like corridors of memory. You trail your fingers along the wooden edges, feeling the faint grooves left by centuries of handling. Candles flicker in wall sconces, their reflections wavering in the polished jars and bronze bowls scattered about. The librarian opens another scroll. This one, a record from an itinerant scholar who visited during Emperor Xuanzong's reign. He wrote that when lightning struck near the monastery, the monks believed the rain that followed carried spirit fire, and that such water made tea that could reveal dreams. He glances at you sideways. Would you drink that tea? Maybe once, you admit. Then you are wiser than most emperors. You both laugh softly, careful not to wake the silence. A gust of wind sneaks in through the cracked window, dimming. A few candles. The light dances wildly for a moment before settling again. In that flicker, you notice something etched onto a bamboo slip on the next shelf. A poem carved by hand. You lean closer to read it. Rain falls. Sky breathes, basin listens. Ink runs, thought drifts, silence remains. There's a faint smear on the last line, as if the poet's hand had trembled or the ink had mixed with rain. Some say Lu Yu himself visited this monastery. The librarian murmurs behind you. But there's no record, just rumors and a missing tea bowl. He chuckles again, that peculiar blend of reverence and irony monks wear like a second robe. Historians still debate which monastery perfected rainwater tea. We prefer to let them debate. It gives them purpose. And you walk toward the back of the library, where the shelves give way to a small alcove filled with more bowls, some glazed, some cracked, all half full of clear water. The light from the candles dances across, their surfaces creating tiny reflections of flame in each one. The librarian gestures toward them. These catch the roof leaks, he says. But the novices call them sky mirrors. You kneel and peer into one. Your reflection wavers, then disappears as a drop of water falls from the ceiling into the bowl. The ripple distorts the candles, glow into gold rings. Sometimes, the monk says softly, when the thunder is close, the water moves before the sound reaches us. You can almost hear it now, the faint delayed tremor of distant thunder rolling over hills. It's easy to see why legends formed here. Between the whispers of wind and the flicker of flame, the library feels suspended between earth and sky. Every shadow seems patient. Every beam creaks as though sighing. The incense holder in your hand feels heavier. You set it down beside the bowls, noticing how its cracked rim catches the light like a tiny crescent moon. The librarian's eyes narrow thoughtfully. That belonged to Master Juin, he says. He used to write poems about storms. You ask what happened to him. He left one morning to follow a cloud, the monk says. No one ever saw him again. You can't tell if he's joking. Before you leave, the librarian rolls one of the bamboo poems and ties it with string. He presses it into your palm. For the road, he says. When you read it by lantern light, the words will look like raindrops. You thank him and tuck the scroll inside your sleeve. As you step back into the fading light outside, you glance once more toward the water bowls. The candle reflections still tremble there, flickering like captured stars dot outside. The air is thick with petrichor, the scent of rain returning to earth. The sky above glows pale gray, streaked with threads of light. You realize you can hear the river beyond the temple walls for the first time, swollen by last night's storm. You'll follow it soon, you think. The monk spoke of Luoyang, of pilgrims and tea roads. Maybe the next part of this story flows that way, for now. You carry the incense holder, the poem, and the faint reflection of a candle in your mind. The library door closes softly behind you. And for a moment, the world is just light and echo, as if the rain itself is watching you go. Morning comes with the sound of footsteps on gravel, and the monastery gates creak open to let a caravan of pilgrims through. You stand beside a young novice named Min, who has been chosen to travel toward Luoyang carrying sealed clay jars, filled with the purest rainwater from last week's storm. His shaved head gleams in the sunlight, and his pack clinks faintly as he bows goodbye to the abbot. You're told you'll accompany him, though not as a monk. Just a listener, the abbot had said. Every journey needs one. The path winds east through fields of tea bushes and narrow terraces stitched with early rice. Mist lingers low, curling around the ankles of oxen. You can still smell the monastery incense clinging to your robes. The cracked incense holder rides carefully in your satchel, beside the bamboo scroll the librarian gave you as you walk. The road hums with quiet life. Merchants pass, pushing carts of salt and silk. Peasants trudge with bundles of herbs on their backs. Every few miles you hear the faint ring of bronze bells tied to the necks of donkeys. The novice smiles at the sound. They say the bells scare away forgetfulness, he tells you. Then monks must never forget, you say. He shrugs. Oh, we forget all the time. Bells just make us feel better about it. You both laugh softly, and the journey continues. By midday, the sky clears completely. The air feels warm, almost sticky. You stop by a river to rest. The novice unwraps a small clay jar, wiping away condensation from its wax seal. He lets you feel the surface cool, slightly rough, faintly damp. This is the heart of the temple. He says, we bring it to Luoyang for the scholars. They say its clarity helps them write poems. You run a finger over the seal. It smells faintly mineral, like rain caught in stone. He fills a small cup and offers you a sip. It's light and soft on the tongue, almost weightless. There's a ghost of flavor, something between mist and mountain air. It tastes, you say slowly, like memory without words. The novice grins. Exactly. As you rest by the riverside, the world slows. Fishermen hum under straw hats. The wind shifts through reeds like the soft turning of pages. You watch reflections of clouds drift across the water's surface. Nearby, a pair of traveling monks debate whether lightning truly infuses water with spirit fire. One insists the electrical charge purifies it. The other claims that's Taoist nonsense. They both end up laughing and sharing dumplings. You can't help smiling. Historians would love this argument if only someone wrote it down by a late afternoon. You reach a marketplace where traders call out in rhythmic voices, selling dried tea bricks and glazed cups. The air smells of roasted chestnuts and river. Mud. The novice stops to buy paper charms, thin slips meant to bless travelers against rain and loss. He offers you one, marked with the character for water. You'll need this, he says. It keeps your dreams from spilling. You tuck it beside the bamboo poem in your sleeve. As dusk falls, you find shelter near a ferry crossing. The river. reflects lanterns and long golden ribbons. You and the novice share a small fire, boiling tea with the last of your provisions. He unwraps rice cakes, and you watch him pour a careful measure of rainwater into the pot dock when the steam rises. It smells faintly of the temple again, earth and moss, smoke and patience. The novice hums a tune under his breath, one that sounds familiar. After a while, you realize it's the same melody the monks used when catching the first drops of rain. You smile. That song again. He nods. It helps the water remember where it came from. You glance at the jar beside him. Its wax seal has cracked slightly from the heat. A thin trickle of water runs down the side, glinting in the firelight. For a moment, you feel the urge to catch it in your hands, to not lose, even a single drop. But the novice only watches it fall, landing softly in the dirt. Everything leaks eventually, he says. The secret is not to chase the water, but to follow where it goes. He pours you a cup. The tea is different this time, earthier, touched by travel. Maybe the clay has changed it. Maybe the road has taught you take a sip. It feels like the kind of drink that remembers silence. When the night deepens, the river hums like a lullaby. Traders nearby snore under woven blankets. Somewhere a donkey shakes its bells, and the sound drifts down the bank. The novice opens his pack, checking the remaining jars. One is chipped near the top, a thin crack sealed with wax and string. He sighs. This one may not survive the next bridge. You run your fingers along the crack. It reminds you of the incense holder's crescent chip, and for a fleeting moment, you imagine the two objects speaking to each other, a jar and both marked by time, both still carrying their purpose. You fall asleep to the rhythm of water and distant bells dot at dawn. The caravan crosses the river. Mist clings to the oars, and droplets beat on your lashes. On the opposite shore, the novice looks back at the fading line of mountains. We'll return with empty jars, he says, and fill them again next spring. You ask him if he ever gets tired of the cycle. He thinks for a moment. No, he says. Rain falls, rivers flow, monks brew. It's a good loop. A soft one. You walk the last miles in companionable silence, the road lined with plum trees just beginning to bloom. Each blossom smells faintly like wet paper. The wind brushes petals across your path, and they stick to your sleeves like delicate ghosts dot by the time Luoyang's outer walls appear. Haze of gray stone and red banners, you realize you've carried the scent of rain this whole way. A perfume of damp clay and smoke. You also realize how little separates you now from the monks you left behind. You listen to rain differently. You hold water differently at the city gates. The novice turns to you, bows, and says, we all serve tea in our own way. Then he disappears into the flow of people, leaving you with the cracked jar, the incense holder, and the faint, echoing hum of bells. The road home waits quietly behind you. The road home winds west again, but the journey feels lighter this time, as if the weight of the air has thinned. You walk alone, carrying only a single clay jar wrapped in cloth, sealed with wax and string. Its crack has widened slightly from the travel, but it still holds the last of the rainwater you and the novice shared dock by the time the monastery's cypress grove reappears on the horizon. Evening has fallen. The hills shimmer under a silver-blue dusk, and the first stars blink. Through thin clouds, the sound of the temple bell drifts down the valley low, rounded, familiar. You cross the courtyard where the rain once fell in sheets. The stone is dry now, but it still bears faint stains from pooling water. The scent of wet earth lingers. Faint, but unmistakable, like an old song you can almost remember. Inside, candlelight glows against lacquered wood and silk banners. A few monks sit by the open hall, chanting softly. The elder from before, the one with the cracked incense holder, waits. Near the hearth, warming his hand over a pot of water he looks up when you enter and smiles without surprise. You've brought it back, he says, as if he's been expecting you all along. You nod, setting the jar on the low table between you. The wax string gleams faintly in the firelight. He inspects it gently, fingers tracing the hairline crack. Ah, he murmurs. Even a wounded vessel can carry heaven's taste. You tell him about the road, the bells, the tea by the river, and the novices' songs. He listens, eyes half closed, nodding now and then as if confirming a memory of his own. When you finish, he gestures toward the fire. Then let us brew the last cup. He pours the final measure of rainwater into a small iron pot. The sound is faint like a whisper finding its way home. The water begins to steam, curling upward in lazy spirals. He adds a pinch of tea leaves, and the scent unfurls, earthy, sweet, touched with something smoky and nostalgic. You sit beside him, and for a moment nothing moves but the steam. Outside, wind stirs through bamboo. The faint chime of temple bells echoes like a lullaby for the sky itself. The elder stirs the pot once with a wooden ladle, then sets it aside. There was once a saying, he begins, that the first rain of spring teaches patience, and the last teaches gratitude. He pours 2 cups, one for you, one for himself. The tea glows amber under the lantern light. You lift it to your lips. It's warmer than you expect, full of layered flavor moss, smoke, the faintest trace of clay. Somewhere underneath, a sweetness lingers, like fruit left to ripen in shadow. It tastes different, you say softly. He smiles. Everything does when you know the ending. You both sit in silence, drinking slowly. The steam rises and dissolves into the night air. The cracked incense holder sits on the windowsill nearby. The elder notices you looking and says, "When it breaks completely, I'll grind it to ash and mix it into clay for a new one. Nothing ever leaves us, it just changes its shape." You not thinking of the jar, the rain, the novice, the long road. The elder pours the remaining tea into a basin, the same jade basin that once caught the first raindrop of the season. The water ripples softly, reflecting the flicker of the fire. The first drop returns to the last cup, he murmurs. That's how the world keeps its balance. You kneel beside the basin. The reflection of the lantern dances across the tea's surface, and for a moment, you see the faint shimmer of rain falling, not from the sky, but from memory itself. The elder begins humming a familiar tune, the same slow melody the monks sang when catching the rain. You find yourself humming too. The two of you sit in companionable quiet, voices weaving through the steady rhythm of night wind. He glances toward you. You understand now why we wait for rain. You think for a moment, then answer because it's not about thirst. He smiles. Exactly. It's about remembering that the sky still visits us. You finish your tea. The taste lingers, smooth and warm. The elder takes your empty cup and turns it over, letting the last drop fall into the basin. A journey ends, he says, not when you return home, but when what you carried finds rest. You look into the basin again. The reflection of the lantern wavers, and within it you glimpse all the small details that have followed you. The chipped incense holder, the cracked jar, the bamboo poem tied with string. They seem to float together like drifting leaves, suspended. In the tea's surface, outside a breeze stirs the temple flags, carrying the scent of wet earth and faint incense smoke. Somewhere far off, thunder mutters faintly, though the sky is clear. Another storm coming? You ask. The elder tilts his head. Perhaps. Or perhaps the sky is just remembering how to speak. He stands, stretching slowly, and gestures for you to follow him outside. The courtyard is silver under the moonlight. The stones still gleam faintly from past rains, as if refusing to dry completely. He raises the empty basin toward the sky and says, half to himself, "We wait again." Watch as he sets it down gently in the same place where you placed it that first night. The stars reflect in its surface, small and trembling. You breathe in, the air tastes like distant rain. Like the promise of another quiet night, the elder turns back toward the hall. Rest, he says. The next rain will fall whether we sleep or not. You nod, lingering a moment longer. The wind brushes through the bamboo. The sound reminds you of water sliding down a jar, of laughter under a straw roof, of a novice singing by a riverside fire. The lanterns flicker once more before settling into steady glow. The basin glimmers faintly under the stars. You close your eyes, feeling the warmth of the tea still resting in your chest. The air hums gently, soft and round. Somewhere above, a single drop of dew gathers at the edge of a roof tile hesitating, trembling and falls into the waiting basin below it. A sound so small you almost mistake it for breath. The first drop of the next rain dot, and so the loop begins again. The night is quiet now. The rain has passed, the story complete. All that remains is the soft hum of your breath and the faint echo of the monks' voices, fading into the dark. You imagine the monastery asleep, the halls dim, the basins full, the incense curling lazily through open windows. Somewhere, the abbot still hums his half-tune, and the cracked incense holder cools slowly in the moonlight. Take a deep breath. Feel the warmth in your chest, the calm that lingers after steam. You've walked the tea roads, touched the rain's reflection, and carried the sound of falling water across mountains. You've seen how even cracks, when held gently, can become vessels of light. The monks would tell you nothing is wasted. Not a drop of rain, not a moment of quiet. Every pause, every silence, every soft sigh becomes part of the next beginning dot, so let the world slow down now. Listen for the last traces of sound, the faint drip from a roof, the whisper of night wind through leaves. Let your breath match the rhythm of rain returning to earth dot. If your thoughts wander, let them drift like clouds. If sleep comes, let it. Arrive like a kind of weather unhurried, natural, soft. The tea is finished, the basin full. You've come home in the gentlest sense. Good night, traveler. May your dreams be as calm as still water and as deep as falling rain. End of script. Sweet dreams.